My wife cheated on me at her friend's wedding, lied, and manipulated me until she was finally exposed and ghosted. I'm a 36-year-old man, and I've been married for 4 years. We don't have any kids. Last month, my wife returned from her friend's wedding, and ever since, she's been acting really strange. My mind has been racing with all kinds of thoughts. I feel guilty for suspecting her without any real proof, but at the same time, I don't want to be naive and overlook the red flags. I've been keeping up with discussions about infidelity for a while now, and unfortunately, my situation feels eerily similar to the countless cheating posts I've read. For a bit of context, my wife's friend had a countryside wedding. I was invited as her plus one, but I couldn't go because of my work schedule. To be honest, I wasn't really excited about attending anyway since I wasn't that close to her friend. She's more of a work acquaintance of my wife, and I'd only met her a couple of times at work parties. But my wife insisted that she was close with her and couldn't miss the wedding, so she went by herself. When she got back from the wedding, everything changed. She started acting distant and cold. I asked her what was going on, and she brushed it off, saying it was just stress from work, piled up from the days she took off for the wedding. I understood that, but now it's been over a month, and she's still giving me the cold shoulder. I don't know if this is relevant, but we've only had sex twice in this entire time, and that was only because I initiated it and pushed for it. Honestly, it felt like I was forcing her, so I stopped trying. I've asked her multiple times if she wanted to talk about whatever is bothering her, but she just won't open up. It's terrifying. I even went through her phone but didn't find anything suspicious. I'm so frustrated by her gaslighting. She's not telling me anything, and she's certainly not acting like herself. I have no idea what's going on or how to handle it. I've tried everything, talking to her, giving her space, even checking her phone and laptop. I'm at a loss. Has anyone been in a similar situation? Any advice on how to deal with this kind of passive-aggressive behavior would be much appreciated. Thanks in advance. Update 1 ***. Thanks for all the suggestions. Some of you thought maybe she was mad at me about something and acting passive-aggressively. I couldn't think of anything that would have upset her, and she's usually very open about her feelings. She's not the type to give me the silent treatment. Before I posted here, I'd already confronted her multiple times. I wasn't keen on bringing it up again, but I swallowed my pride and asked her if she was upset with me for something. She said no and asked why I thought that. I asked if she was mad that I didn't make it to her friend's wedding because things had been weird ever since she got back. She denied it, saying it was nothing like that, just tired and stressed from work. This went on for a couple of more months. Her mood swings were all over the place. Sometimes, things felt like they were getting back to normal, and then suddenly, it would all go back to how it was before. I talked to some friends about it, and they said it was probably just a phase that would pass, so I decided to ignore it and focus on my work and mental health. But last week, I found out why she'd really been acting this way. It was at her office's annual function, an event I usually attend with her every year. This year, though, she didn't seem too keen on taking me. It usually happens in early November, just before Thanksgiving. I'd asked her a few times if we'd gotten an invitation, and she kept saying no. I have no idea what her plan was, but a couple of days before the event, she suddenly told me the venue and the dress code. When I saw the invitation email, I realized it had come in weeks ago. She said she'd just missed it. Anyway, she wasn't excited at all about going, and it seemed like she was trying to come up with reasons not to attend. Her reluctance made me suspicious, so I insisted we go. At the party, everything seemed normal at first. Everyone was friendly and welcoming, no red flags. But my wife was acting strangely guarded. She didn't leave me alone with anyone, which was unusual. Normally, she'd go off to chat with her senior colleagues, and I'd mingle with her coworkers. But this time, she stuck to my side the whole night. The friend whose wedding I mentioned earlier was there, along with her husband. I spoke to them and apologized for not making it to the wedding, and they were cool about it. Everything seemed perfectly normal. But as the night went on, her friend's husband got drunk and let something slip. He said, "Oh man, you should have been at our wedding. Your wife looked amazing, dancing and twerking like crazy. My buddies couldn't take their eyes off her, And even my best man is still asking for her number." Before he could say more, his wife stepped in, pulled him away, and said he was too drunk to know what he was saying. She insisted nothing like that had happened. Now, I might have let it go if my wife hadn't been acting so weird since the wedding. As her colleague's husband kept talking, my wife interrupted him multiple times, trying to change the subject. Eventually, she called over her friend, who was talking to others at the time, and she dragged her husband away. If that wasn't a red flag, I don't know what is. Even the other colleagues and their spouses who were standing with us picked up on what was happening. They were smirking and exchanging knowing looks. I excused myself from the conversation, feeling incredibly embarrassed. Not long after that, I saw my wife's friend leaving the party with her husband, who was practically passed out by then. My wife came over to me, acting as if nothing had happened. I gave her a look that said, "What the hell was that about?" She shrugged it off, saying, "Did you see how wasted he was? You really think he was telling the truth?" She was lying and twisting the situation again. She got drunk that night too, though I couldn't tell if she was really that drunk or just putting on an act to avoid having to talk. The next day, I decided I couldn't take her tantrums anymore. I confronted her, telling her I had a strong suspicion that she cheated at the wedding. I told her it was time to stop lying and come clean. When I grabbed her phone, she tried to stop me, but I managed to get into her conversation with her friend. There it was, her scolding her friend's husband for letting the truth slip. I'm sure she would have changed her phone password if she'd had the chance, but she was caught off guard. Even then, she continued to lie, claiming that her friend's husband had just been drunk. After hours of yelling, playing the victim, and dodging the truth, she finally admitted it was a one-time thing. She said she'd been so drunk that she couldn't resist when the groomsmen made a move. I was furious. I slammed my fist down on the table and hurt myself. It wasn't just that she cheated, it was the months of gaslighting and manipulation that drove me insane. She tried to justify it by saying her guilt was the reason for her strange behavior, but if that were true, she should have been trying to fix our relationship, not avoid me. At that point, I couldn't stand to look at her. I grabbed my phone, iPad, and some things, and I left. She didn't call or text me after that, but 2 days later, she messaged me asking where I was, when I'd be home, and how long it would take me to cool down. All of it was guilt-tripping nonsense. I've been staying with a friend since then, and I can't even think about going back to her. I don't know what I'll do next, but I'm definitely not in a good headspace right now. Update 2 I've decided to divorce her because I found out even more. Let me fill you in from where I left off. I stayed with my friend for a few more days, and during that time, Brenda kept texting and calling, asking me to come home. I ignored all of it. Honestly, I couldn't make up my mind about what to do next. My friend suggested I try talking to that friend's husband, the one who spilled the beans at the party. I found him on social media and sent him a message, asking if we could meet. At first, he tried to brush it off, apologizing for the misunderstanding and saying he'd been drunk, so I shouldn't take him seriously. I told him Brenda had already admitted to cheating, and I just wanted to get the full story. I also asked him not to mention our conversation to his wife or Brenda. He agreed. When we met, he was hesitant at first but eventually opened up after seeing how broken I was. He told me everything. It turns out my wife had cheated on me, not just once, but multiple times during those 2 days at the wedding. It wasn't some spur-of-the-moment mistake either. She had been with the groom's man throughout the entire event, dancing, flirting, and disappearing with him. They even skipped most of the wedding functions to hang out in his hotel room. Their behavior was so obvious that everyone at the wedding assumed they were a couple. I asked him if it was true that his friend had asked for Brenda's number, and he confirmed it. He said his friend was interested in her, but only for casual hookups because of how she was acting at the wedding. Hearing all of this was like a punch to the gut. I felt like I'd never truly known my wife. But after everything that had happened, I realized that closure wasn't worth it. Brenda had lied to me for so long, and even after being caught, she only confessed to a fraction of the truth. There was no point in trying to understand her mindset. I was dead set on divorcing her now. I went home while she was at work, packed my things, and moved in with my friend. She panicked and called me, but I ignored her. When she received the divorce papers, she texted me, asking if we could meet before she signed them. I agreed, but only in a public place. When we met, she had red, puffy eyes and made one last attempt at pleading for another chance. I told her I knew everything. I might have forgiven her if she had been honest from the beginning, but she hadn't. Instead, she had made my life miserable, and even after being exposed, she only confessed to half the truth, blaming the guy. She sobbed and said she had quit her job because her colleagues had overheard the conversation about her cheating, and now everyone was gossiping about her at work, labeling her a cheater. I told her it was too late and that nothing she said or did would change my decision. I wanted us to separate amicably. A few days later, she signed the divorce papers and moved out of the house. There are still several months left on our lease, so I've returned to the house, but I'm desperate to move out. She's taken most of her belongings, but a few discarded clothes and accessories were left behind, which I've since thrown away. The furniture and decor we bought together are unbearable to look at now. Even after all this, I don't feel like I've moved on, not even a little. But I'm hopeful that one day I will. Living alone is far better than staying in the toxic environment I was in before.